You probably know from other videos about Airsoft Force Tracking that players are divided into so-called sessions. You can create a session yourself and invite your friends to it, but you can also join someone else's session by knowing its ID and password. From this video, you'll learn that within each session, players are additionally divided into armies. Armies can be allies or adversaries in relation to each other. This depends on the settings introduced by the session administrator. You'll find out what benefits players and organizers can gain from such division. But before we get into that, I'd like to invite you, in the classic way, to like our profile on Instagram and Facebook. If you like what we do, you can support our project on Patreon and buy coffee, which I warmly encourage you to consider. Let's get practical and create a new session. After launching the application in the navigation menu, select Sessions, Create Session, and then enter the administrative password for this session. After confirming with the button, the application will display the ID of the new session. The set you just learned, ID and password, allows you to log in to the administrator's army. This is an army designated for event organizers. People in this army have unique capabilities not available to regular players. Still in the session window, click on the menu in the upper corner and then select Armies. A window will appear displaying the armies added to the session. Typically, each session has 3 armies: administrative, red, and blue. To better explain how the armies work for the purposes of this video, I added an orange army. Let's configure all these armies now. Click on the blue army to display its details. Change its name to Allies. Set the password to Blueberry and set that members of the blue army can see orange players. Save. In the red army, we'll set the name to Terrorists, the password to Tomato, and specify that red players cannot see players from other armies. The orange army will be named Natives, the password will be Orange, and we'll set it to see the blue army. Finally, in the administrator's army, we'll give them the ability to observe all armies and set the password to Snowflake. After configuring the session like this, each army has a different access password. Administrators can log into the session using the password Snowflake. On the map, they will see all players, blue, red, and orange, while being invisible themselves. This allows them to react to the gameplay and manage its plot appropriately. People who want to join as allies enter the session number and the password Blueberry. After joining the blue army, the player will see on the screen other players from their army, but also players from the orange army. Terrorists join the session by providing its number and the password Tomato. After logging in, they will only see other red players. Natives provide the password Orange. After logging in, they will see orange and blue players. This type of division allows for narrative changes during large airsoft events. Let's say, after a few hours of gameplay, due to certain events, the natives decide to change sides. They stop being allies of the blue team and become allies of the red team. In such a situation, the administrator just needs to switch the visibility toggles, and the blue and orange teams will no longer see their location and markers on the map. From this video, you've learned that players within one session can be divided into armies. Each army has its color, name, and can see units and markers of other armies if configured by administrators. I'm glad you watched this video. I encourage you to like our profiles on Instagram and Facebook. If you like what we do, you can also make a small contribution on Patreon or buy coffee. Good luck and many frags!